We will not forget. We will not forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. We will not forget. No, we will not forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. Fire, fire, burn young ones in a London city New Cross. How can there be justice when the bombers are the bars? 13 young lives wasted for a fascist way of life. And if you walk the streets, then won't be stab you with a knife. We will not forget. No, we will not forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We cannot forget. We will not forget. No, we will not forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. Them have no right to bomb us. Them have no right at all. As fire burning New Cross, politicians have a ball. Black people will stand firm until the table turn. Black people will stand firm against the ugly fascist worm. It's plain and clear to see. It's true reality. You cannot live in fear at night and say that you are free. And we all know it's true. What do authorities do? Them don't do nothing. Them don't care because they are bombers too. And we will not forget. No, we cannot forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. We will not forget. No, we cannot forget. 13 dead and nothing said. We will not forget. Fire, fire, burn young ones in a London city New Cross. How can there be justice when the bombers are the boss?
Black Perspective 2014 presents a special African History Month program. I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. Saturday the 18th of October 2014, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. at the Bradfield Club, 5 to 13 Commercial Way, Peckham, London, SE15 6QD. Admission £10. Galaxy Family £5. Galaxy Family £5. Children under 16 are free. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of different things going on.
Lock into the power.
La République du Congo a été proclamée et notre cher pays est maintenant entre les mains de ses propres enfants. Ensemble, mes frères, mes sœurs, nous allons commencer une nouvelle lutte, une lutte sublime qui va mener notre pays à la paix, à la prospérité et à la grandeur. Nous allons établir ensemble la justice sociale et assurer que chacun reçoive la juste rémunération de son travail. Nous avons connu les ironies, les insultes, les coups que nous devions subir matin, midi et soir, parce que nous étions ténèbres. Qui oubliera qu'à un noir, on disait tu, non certes comme à un ami, mais parce qu'un époux honorable était réservé pour seul blanc. Nous avons connu que nos fils spoliés, au nom des textes prétendument légaux, qui ne faisaient que reconnaître les droits du plus fort. Nous avons connu que la loi n'était jamais la même, selon qu'il s'agissait d'un blanc ou d'un noir, accommodante pour les uns, prière inhumaine pour les autres. Nous avons connu les souffrances atroces des relégués pour opinion politique ou croyances religieuses. Exilés dans leur propre patrie, leur sort était vraiment pire que la mort elle-même. Nous avons connu qu'il y avait dans les villes des maisons magnifiques pour les blancs et des paillotes pour les noirs. Les noirs n'étaient admis dans les cinémas, ni dans les restaurants, ni dans les magasins européens. Les noirs voyageaient à même la côte de péniche, au pied du plan de sa cabine de luxe. Qui oubliera enfin les fusillades, où périt tant de nos frères, les cachons furent brutalement jetés, ceux qui ne voulaient plus se soumettre au régime d'injustice, d'oppression et d'exploitation. Cette indépendance du Congo, si elle est proclamée aujourd'hui dans l'attente avec la Belgique, pays ami avec qui nous traitons d'égal à égal, et les Congolais du de ce nom ne pourra jamais oublier cependant que c'est par la lutte qu'il a été conquise. De tous les jours, une élite ardente et idéaliste, une élite dans laquelle nous n'avons mélangé ni nos forces, ni nos privations, ni nos souffrances, ni notre sang. Cette élite fit de l'âme, des feux et des sang. Nous en sommes fiers jusqu'au plus profond de nous-mêmes, car c'est une lutte noble et juste, une lutte indispensable pour mettre fin à l'humiliant esclavage qui nous était imposé par la force. Ce qui fit notre sort à 80 ans de régime colonialiste, nos blessures sont trop fraîches et trop douloureuses encore révolution les chasser de notre mémoire. Nous avons connu le travail harassant, exigé en échange des salaires qui ne nous permettait ni de manger à notre faim, ni de nous vêtir, nous loger décemment, ni d'élever nos enfants comme des êtres chers.
Tendai Mwari, be thankful unto God. Greetings, Galaxy Radio family. You're tuned into Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Hosting tonight's program is Brother Omawali and myself, Sister Kai. It's Monday, the 19th of January, and it's 1 minute past the hour of 8. Alkebu-Lan is known for keeping its finger on the pulse of the community, addressing the most pertinent and controversial issues some radio stations just won't touch. So keep it locked on 102.5 FM or www.galaxyafiwi.com and join us for the next 2 hours by calling 07 538
005 634. That's 07 538 005 634 or 07 983 852 952. Our text line is 07 572 222 156. Tendai Mwari, Sister Kai.
Tendai Mwari. Give thanks, Brother Omwali. On Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan, we talk it straight and make it plain. This show is not for the faint-hearted. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Yes, brothers and sisters, this evening's show is Do Commemorations Keep Us Locked in the Past? Do Commemorations Keep Us Locked in the Past? Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, Sister Kai, giving thanks and praises to Mwari Nyakusika, God that created the universe, through the spirits of Mzumukuru, our great ancestors. Rumbitsu kuna Mwari ye Africa. To the God of Africa be the glory. It is a joy to be an African, and it is a joy to be on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only, yes, the only de-brainwashing station. Tendai Mwari, Sister Kai.
Tendai Mwari. Yes, Brother Omawali. We have a lot to get through this evening. This evening, obviously, we will be commemorating the 3 very important events.
Yes, indeed, my sister. Last weekend saw a trinity of anniversaries, and this will be the main feature of our show. These will be the main feature of our show this evening. The commemorations include on the 17th of January, the assassination of the Prime Minister of Independent Congo, Patrice Emery Lumumba. Also, Professor Tony Martin's passing. Also, again, on the 17th of January. And finally, on the 18th of January, the commemoration of the New Cross fire, the massacre that took place in New Cross. So that's going to be the main body of our show, along with some very, very important honorable mentions, Sister Kai. Tendai Mwari?
Tendai Mwari.
Indeed. Those honorable mentions will include none other than the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Today is, in fact, the day of the actual the day that is the official Martin Luther King Day. Amilcar Cabral as well, Sister Kai?
That's correct. And Obi Egbuna. Let us list them. I mean, we have Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, most people are familiar with. And he was born on the 15th of January 1929, and he passed on the 4th of April 1968. Well, he didn't pass, he was assassinated. He was a leading civil rights leader of his generation. Now, European media invariably cast him as an integrationist dreamer. Yet he was a man of great courage, conviction, and increasing radicalism in his speeches. For example, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, Where Do We Go From Here? Now, Dr. King has been honored with a public holiday in the USA that takes place on the third Monday in January. In this year's case, today. That's the 19th of January. So we're giving honorable mention to Baba Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
Indeed.
Another great hero is Amilcar Cabral, who was born on the 12th of September 1924. And again, he died on he was again assassinated on the 20th of January 1973. Now, he was a Guinea-Bissauan and Cape Verdean agricultural engineer, writer, and an outstanding nationalist thinker and political leader. He was also one of Africa's foremost anti-colonial leaders. Many of his speeches and writings were collected in the books Unity and Struggle and Return to the Source. So we honor that great man. We also, Brother Omwali, have Obi Egbuna. Now, he was born on the 18th of July in 1938, and he passed just, last year on the 20th of January 1914. Now, he was a Nigerian-born activist who became one of the pioneers of the Black Power movement in the UK in the 1960s. His son, Obi Egbuna Jr., continues his father's activism, and he's now based in the USA, and is a USA correspondent of the Zimbabwe Herald newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see he's still living up to his father's work. The most eminent prophet and king.
Tenamari, just to say, Sister Kai, that Obi Egbuna Jr. will be on our show next week. Kanamwari Ada, if it pleases the Creator.
Mm-hmm. Tendai Mori, where we'll be looking at Boko Haram. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And this so-called freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey, famously said, "We must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate to positions of fame and honor black men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history."
Tendai Mori. Sister Kai, just to clarify that our elder brother Obi Egbuna Jr. Is to be confirmed. So hopefully he will be joining us next Sabbath. Tendai Mori, next week.
Mori. Yet some prefer the view that leads us to romanticize our past as an escape route for dealing with the past or planning for our future. So we know that some of us feel that continually commemorating people who have passed is an escape from dealing with our present situation. Now, that may be your view, and we'd like you to share that with us today. But before that, we will be hearing from brothers and sisters who will be elevating that spirit of the different leaders who have passed over this particular period. Tendai Mori.
Yes, my sister, Tendai Mori. We will be shortly engaging with our brother Luwezi Kinshasa, who is the Secretary General of the African Socialist International. Our brother was born in Congo and is currently exiled in Britain as one of the tens of thousands of Africans from the Congo who were forced into political exile by the Mobutu regime. He speaks and organizes throughout Europe and in Africa, working to liberate and unite African people everywhere. Tendai Mwari. So shortly we will be engaging with him. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
The 17th of Jan, 1961. 6.5 months after being elected Prime Minister of independent Congo, Patrice Emery Lumumba, who was born on the 2nd of July 1925 and was assassinated on the 17th of January 1961, alongside his trusted aides, Joseph Okito and Maurice Mpolo, was barbarically murdered and dismembered, the result of a campaign orchestrated by the governments of Belgium, USA, UK, as well as the United Nations, and the deployment of some treacherous countrymen. Lumumba was one of the brightest lights of Africa's independence era, and considerations of his life often evoke contemplations of what might have been for Africa had he lived. In his independence speech, he famously declared, "Let us show the world what Africa can do when we work together in freedom." 54 years after his physical death, activists like those of the Uhuru Movement, who held a Lumumba Day event on the 17th of January this year at the Bernie Grant Art Centre in Tottenham to honour his life and legacy, strive to complete his work and achieve that freedom. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. So shortly, brothers and sisters, we will be joined by our brother, Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari, brother Louise, are you with us?
Yes, Tendai Mwari, brother Omawari. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my brother. It is a pleasure having you on our program, and I just want to say, Mokorokota, as we say in Shona, congratulations for a wonderful afternoon stroke evening event on Saturday gone. It was very uplifting, very engaging, and the Garvey Lumumba School as well was highlighted as well, so you can tell us a little bit about that as well. And also a powerful message by yourself. It was an excellent evening, very edutaining and very uplifting. Tendai Mwari. Brother Louise?
Yes, sir, brother. I'm there.
Yeah. So tell us the motivation in terms of why was it important for you to have this commemoration?
Yeah. First of all, let me just say thank you Alkebu-Lan Movement for giving me the opportunity to be on the radio, and I also say thank you to Galaxy Radio for being there all these years. So I just want to say, to all of you, and
Uhuru.
I'm so honored to be on Galaxy Radio again. There is a saying that all of us will die, but all the deaths, do not have the same meaning. And the death of Patrice Lumumba has a different meaning. It's not an ordinary death, basically. And he died as a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
He loved freedom so much. He loved Africa so much. He loved black people so much that he felt that it's worth giving his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, and also he believed that we had, at the time, we had a brilliant future, that he could see that, and the only thing that was stopping us from having this brilliant future was oppression, was colonialism, was imperialism, so he was determined to get rid of that so that we can have access to our Africa, to our own resources, to have access to each other and be free and build a new Africa. That's why he said.
Tendai Mwari, my brother.
Yeah, he said if we are free, we will show the world what black people can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you can only show the world what black people can do if we are free. And that's what we believe was important to commemorate a leader like that. Is an example to all of us, and he was a great leader to emulate, and particularly for those Africans coming from the Congo looking for bearings, who to follow, and looking just from the experience of Congo. They have to embrace Lumumba, and there were a lot of young people there.
Yes.
More like on a match about Patrice Lumumba, and the struggle in the Congo. To go forward, we have to go to the roots. We have to go to Lumumba, basically, because Lumumba is definitely a continuity of Nkrumah, a continuity of Garvey, and it's that connection with the over 500 years of struggle. And Lumumba represented that trajectory. He was in the same trajectory as people like Galvin, Nkrumah, and the others. So it was important to celebrate him, to commemorate him, and also to let our prices that we know the struggle is not over yet, and we know the struggle must continue, and we know it's necessary for us to come together and take the struggle from where Lumumba left off. So it was really really important for us to be there, and we can't miss any 17th of January. You know, we go use that to introduce new generation to Lumumba and go forward.
Tendamar, we noticed a lot of young people in the gathering, which and mainly from the Congo as well. How effective a tool of conscientizing our young people is the legacy of Patrice Lumumba?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, a lot of young people, they have heard from homes, you know, from the parents, as you heard, you know, some of the sisters, you know, she said a daddy, you know, told her about Lumumba, and that's really true. All of us in school, somehow we talked about Lumumba, even we did not have a proper summing up. You know, we still talked about him, and his name alone, you know, is still a very prestigious name. You know, and a lot of people use that for their own interest and things like that. And particularly when you're young, you saw the videos, you saw the films about Lumumba, you get excited. If you discover in the literature about Lumumba, you get excited because most of the things he said then are still true and relevant today. So it's only natural for young people who are looking for direction, who are trying to play a part in the struggle in a lifetime. After listening to the parents, to the grandparents, one thing everyone is certain: Lumumba represents integrity that no leader in the Congo has since the assassination of Lumumba. Everybody you see there in the government, who has been in the government since the assassination, they all represent the continuity of a betrayal. So people looking for integrity, inspiration, then you end up, you know, looking for Lumumba, basically.
Tendamar, my brother, where would Africa be without the legacy of Patrice Lumumba?
You know, this is a very important question, because every generation, as Franz Fanon said, has to discover their mission. And when they discover their mission, they have a choice to fulfill it or to betray it. And Lumumba, if he was alive, he would be 90 years old. And I know Mandela passed away, he was 93, I think. In fact, Mandela was older than Patrice Lumumba, so he would have been alive today. And the fact that Patrice Lumumba has been killed, imperialism oppresses the white power, the white imperialists succeeded in altering, in derailing the struggle for African national liberation. The genuine struggle to free the African nation was derailed because it was not that Congo was attacked, it was the African nation that was attacked.
Right.
It was the African movement in its entirety that was attacked because Lumumba and Nkrumah already signed the document that will make Ghana and Congo one country.
Right.
Now, with the resources Congo possessed, the unity of Africa would have been, accelerated, because Lumumba was like Malcolm X. He was a man of a frank talk, direct talk. No bullshitting. No taking all these tortuous road. He would tell you exactly how he feels, what he thinks. He was direct, and he told Nkrumah, "Unite with what you have. Let put it in practice. Let move with it." And that's one of the reasons it was brought down. So his legacy definitely tells us that the unification of Africa not only is possible, it's necessary, because he already agreed with Nkrumah to make it happen. And they will have definitely, the OAU will not have been what it is today. It would have been a more genuine organization if Lumumba and Nkrumah were around, and probably Malcolm X too, because they belong to the same kind of era. And knowing what Lumumba represented, I'm sure Malcolm X and Lumumba will have worked together. I couldn't doubt about it. So, before Lumumba, definitely there is confusion as it is now in the Congo. People don't know that there is a lot of people still ignorant, because it is slander against Lumumba all the time. Those who understand Lumumba and who hate the people are always saying stories, slanders on the radio and things like that. Even as I'm talking to you, this week in Belgium, there was a gathering organized by the Belgian authorities. They called the Africans from the Congo and the liberal white people to discuss the Congo situation. And they made it clear Lumumba should not be mentioned. And there was a protest this week. I think it was last week, I think Thursday, there was a protest. Over 100 Africans showed up. They say, you can't stop us from using the name of Lumumba. Just as important, the legacy of Lumumba is. So it's something that we need to cherish, spread it out, and implement it, because Lumumba was a man of action, not just a man of words, but a man of action. That's really important. That's where.
Now, my brother, give thanks and praises. Can you just quickly enlighten us about the Garvey Lumumba School as well?
Yeah, the Garvey Lumumba School, because in Tottenham, a lot of Africans from the Congo live in Tottenham. And we felt that it's necessary to make sure we give guidance, we give leadership, we support the education of our children. So on a Saturday, we do organize the Garvey Lumumba School, and we felt also it should not be a school just for the Africans from Congo. Any African can come. And we feel by uniting for Garvey, it will appeal to any black person who understand that if you come from the Caribbean, regardless of the consciousness you have, but if you see Garvey, you easily identify with that. And if you're from Congo, you hear Lumumba, you identify with it. And you put the two together, it means all Africans unite and bring the children to school. So children are coming from different backgrounds, They all come in there, engage black history, maths, and science, and things like that. So it's been going well. So that's one thing. And also, it's a way also for us to connect with the community, with the parents.
Absolutely.
The parents don't understand the politics we're preaching, but as long as we're trying to solve the problems for the people, the parents can connect with us. Because as you know, all of us have got problems with the education system. So if you're trying to solve it, then the message also can go through. And it's a way also of deepening our connection with the community. So as you saw, the event was organized with the community. That was almost everything that was done by the Africans from the Tottenham there.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And we saw some of the children's work as well featured about Uncle Lumumba as well. That's tremendous. Brother Luwezi, you gave a very moving account on the toppling and assassination of Baba Patrice Lumumba. Could you just very succinctly, if you can just summarize for our listeners, many of whom may not be aware of exactly what took place in terms of his toppling and assassination? Tendai.
Yes. Do you know, they talk so much about the freedom of speech? 30th of June, 1960, Lumumba gave a speech. He used his freedom of speech to criticize colonialism, because the King of Belgium made a speech, and the ceremonial president of Congo, Kasavu, made a speech, and all their speeches were an insult to the people. And Lumumba also rose up to the occasion, and he gave a speech, and his speech was a criticism of colonialism. He said things as they were. He didn't lie, he didn't exaggerate, he just said things as they were. That colonialism is violence against Africans, it's the theft of African lands, it's the downgrade of Africans' manhood and womanhood, and things like that. It's brutalities and random imprisonment for anyone who opposed colonialism. So he told them the truth, and he also explained what independence means. It means that we take control of our own land, our resources, and we're going to work. We don't need any handout for anybody. In 5 years, we can turn the situation around. And the imperialism who loved freedom so much, they didn't agree with the freedom of speech of Lumumba, to criticize them. And also he took position that independence is not a sham independence, it's a real one. It must transform the condition of the people. And he's clear on that. Independence means the poor peasants, the poor workers, their lives will get better. And there is no, independence does not mean get rich quick. It disagrees for that independence belongs to the people. That
Right.
was sacrificed. So it was clear that he got his job because the people were with him, because he expressed, the desires, ambitions, aspirations of the people. So he was clear on that, and the people also were clear on that Lumumba represented them. Then the organization he led, it was known as the MNC, the National Congolese Movement, and other organizations, every single one was led by what we call evoke, or the African petit bourgeois elements, who had different material interests. They did not see independence as an opportunity to end this insane, this shameful, this embarrassment relationship we have with our oppressors. They didn't see it like that. They saw independence as an opportunity to be like white people.
They want a piece of the pie.
Pardon?
They wanted a piece of the pie.
Oh, yes, to have, the piece of the pie. The gravy train,
Yeah.
they saw it. So they can have the children come to be educated in Sorbonne in Paris, Oxford, in Harvard. If they're sick, they get on a plane, get treatments in Europe, things like that. That's what they saw it. They send the children on holidays, stay with their oppressors here, things like that. So they disagreed with Lumumba. That's the African petit bourgeoisie, those elements who mobilized the struggle for independence. They disagreed. And we already know the ruling class, the white ruling class, disagreed, didn't like Lumumba. So they teamed up, the white rulers and the Africans
Sellouts.
sellout. They teamed up. And not only teamed up, but the white rulers are the one who dictate the terms
Of course.
in that relationship, because their relationship not only is insane, but it's unequal. One is the boss, the other is the servant.
That's right. Master and slave.
Something like that. And they decided to bring down Lumumba. So the independence was declared, or was granted, so to speak, on the 30th of June. By the 4th of July, the Belgian army, the ex-colonial army, whose leaders have signed a document of independence recognizing that Africans, the Congo, was free from colonial rule, reoccupied Congo militarily, city after city.
So, Brother Louis, just to clarify, so you're saying within 4 days, the tenure of Baba Patrice Lumumba was basically 4 days.
Yeah, even 4 days, it's just a way of putting things. I believe even before the declaration of speech, before they signed all these papers, I'm sure the Belgians had their plan.
That's the plan, yeah.
That's what they would do. Because they already knew that Lumumba is not for sale. Lumumba went to the U.S. And he came back. And he has this habit of giving reports to the people directly.
Right.
And he gave a report. He said, I returned to the United States, and they asked me to sell Congo for $1 million. I told them I would never sell Congo for $1 million. The Congo belongs to us, and things like. So they already knew Lumumba's position.
He had a reputation of being transparent.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He, after big events, he respected the parliament. He would give them all the reports as well as the people. He was a man of the people, and something like that. So basically, by the 4th of July, what we call counter-insurgency.
Right.
Insurgency is a military response to the movement of oppressed, of colonized to be free. So they use counter-insurgency to reverse the progress made or being made by the oppressed people. So counter-insurgency, like COINTELPRO in the U.S., that's counter-insurgency. So in the Congo, they had different programs. So they launched the Belgian army. So city after city was reoccupied. Congolese army trained by the Belgian and all the units, or most of the units that were identified as nationalists, as a Mpolo Lumumba, they were disarmed. So make sure they don't have access to weapons and things like that. They occupied the airports. They did a lot of things. At the same time, that's one tactic they used. So then on the 10th of July, that's just 10 days after independence, Chombe, the puppet of the Belgian colonialism in Katanga, was told, it's your time to act, to enter the ring. So he declared the secession of Katanga.
Right.
You know,
and that was where the wealth was, yeah?
Yes, it was important mineral.
Right. So cut off the military, cut off the wealth.
Yes, and there was also an important military base there called Kamina Base, and the Belgians occupied that Kamina Base. From there, they can go anywhere, and the administration of that secession was white. The white officers ran things there. They control the whole machinery.
Right.
You know, so that Chombe had an administration. He was the puppet voice of his masters. So in August, a month later, that's in the central Congo, in the Kasai province, a man called Kalonji, because in Katanga that was Chombe and Munungo. And now in Kasai province, that was Kalonji. Kalonji used to be with Lumumba, the same organization, MNC, the national movement, Congolese national movement.
Okay. So
he betrayed the movement. He declared himself the leader of Free Kasai. You know, which is just ridiculous because Lumumba himself is from that region too. You know, so he declared secession. It's a complete violation of our freedom and aspiration for our people. So you had Kasai produce diamond. That's where the diamond is from.
Okay.
So no Kasai, no Katanga, no military bases. Most of the cities are occupied by the Belgium, and Lumumba tried his best to go to all these cities to try to mobilize, to win the people to stay calm, that the struggle continues, things like that. He was really, really demanding, and he was restless, going everywhere, trying to speak and convince and calm the situation. And then still, the United States was not really understood that well at the time, not just by Lumumba, but also by the entire African liberation movement on the continent. The United States recognized the independence of most African countries with no problems. So it gave a false sense of neutrality or support. So Lumumba and the ceremonial president, Kasavubu, asked for help from the UN, asked for troops to come to Congo to get the Belgian armies out. Not realizing that the UN is also another arm of white power, of the United States led imperial power. So the UN came to Congo. As soon as they landed in the Congo, they refused to take orders from Lumumba. They took the orders only from the colonial Belgian and the United States colonizer themselves. And it was a shock to Lumumba. It was a shock to the Lumumba supporters that the UN we invited, we being aggressed, will not take orders from us, but they will take orders from the oppressors. So now you have the Belgian army, you have the UN army, and the secessions, and plus the worldwide ideological demonization of Lumumba from South Africa, from Britain, from France, all of them. It was world news. Congo was the center of colonial struggle in the world.
Right, Brother Luezi, we've got a couple of questions for you as well. So if you can if you can just come to the close. I'm really sorry about that. Time is very short. We've got a pretty packed program. Sorry, my brother. Go ahead.
That's good. What do you want to say? You asked me a question now?
Right. Okay. We've got a couple of questions.
Text.
A couple of questions from our gathering via text. Tottenham. Sister Kai?
It says, just tuning in, loving the radio show. We should know, remember, commemorate, learn from the past in order to create a brighter future. Respect Olatunji, Tottenham resident, Colin J. And we have from Enoch, Kenya Security Force used tear gas in school playground against school children. I hope you will talk about that important story instead of talking about a man that died so many decades ago.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
You want to respond to that?
would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, in the same attacks. Those who are trying to grab the land in Kenya, this is a school ground, basically. Instead of having a school for our children to get some kind of education, the speculators and with the help of the government, they're selling the land to those guys. So, but that's, which means basically the school has to move somewhere else. That's something that goes around, not just in Kenya, throughout Africa. Land grab is taking place in Africa. That's a serious assault on us. That's for sure. And
my brother Luwezi, the questions we have this evening is: do commemorations keep us locked in the past? And I think Enoch was saying that really you shouldn't spend all this time talking about something that happened in the past.
We should move on. What's
your position on that?
Yeah. We need to know the history so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past, and we draw our lessons. We become more experienced, because the past is like a rehearsal before you do the real thing. Rehearsal helps you to get better. So the 60s was like a rehearsal. So we're going to draw these lessons because the showdown has begun already. There is a serious contest who's going to control Africa. And which means basically we have to be prepared to get organized to free Africa. And it won't happen if we don't draw the lessons from the past. We're going to repeat the same thing, and we end up in the mess. So that's one thing. And talking about today is what needs to be done today. Today, only thing I can say is that history has shown one thing, that those guys we refer to as the African petit bourgeoisie will never free Africa. Never. They will never free Africa. They are happy for Africa to be what it is. So we have to identify the forces who want Africa to be changed. That's one. And the second thing is, Africa cannot achieve freedom as separate entities, like Congo, Ghana, Cameroon.
That's right.
Happen like that. So we also have freedom as a people, as a whole people. That's why we are scattered around the world. So we need an African plan. So all the Africans must have a place in the division of labor. If we go to fight in the Congo, we have to bring the 1.5 billion African nation with us in the Congo so we can win the Congo. If you're going to fight in Kenya, we bring 1.5 billion Africans in Kenya. If you're going to fight in Haiti, we bring the 1.5 billion African Haiti. That's how it's going to be. But it has to be about evolution. We have nothing to gain by maintaining a system that was born at our expense. We have no stake at all in this society that jail our children, that kill our people all over the place, that pay us less than $1 a day, that impose Ebola on us, things like that. We have no stake in it. So
absolutely. My brother, Tenamra, my brother, give thanks for that contribution. Just finally, last week we had our special guest, Sister Matilda McCattram from Black Mental Health UK. Now, we know that you attended the UK roundtable discussion at the House of Lords, the Harris Review into Self-Inflicted Deaths. Can you just enlighten us a little bit about what your thoughts were about it, Tenamra?
Yeah, it's a part of the struggle. The struggle happens at many levels. And also, this one concerns particularly the future. It's our youngsters, our young people, those who are under 24 years old. There has been an increase of death of our young people in jails, and they're referred to as self-inflicted, which is a term I don't agree with, because under colonialism and slavery, there is nothing we can refer to as self-inflicted. Everything is being inflicted on us by the system. So it's a symptom of the system. So basically, what needs to happen is that we have to be really clear in terms of our condition and relations with this society. It's a colonial relationship that oppresses us and that prevent us from being in control of our lives. That's why basically we're dying in jails. That's why we're dying in enterprise. That's why we have all these problems, because we are not in control of our lives. Somebody else has power over us. It's called colonialism. That's the starting point. We need to be clear on that. And the second thing is, it's definitely necessary that we recognize we are in a contest with the British colonial state. We are in a contest, and that contest requires our people to be organized to fight back so that there is no culture of impunity that's being maintained over those jails. The conditions are appalling. You should have been there just to listen to the brief testimonies coming from different Africans who have been imprisoned, working in prisons, or for whatever reasons they have access to those information, it is unbelievable. So, just to be sure, it's going to be necessary for us to recognize that our community must go to those jails, open up those walls in jails, get our people free. We have to do whatever we can to get our people out of the jails, but also we have to be prepared to have an economic development, because our people don't have access to resources. We don't have an economic development. We don't control the shops, as you know, everything in terms of economics. And this is the primary reason our youth also can't see the future, because we don't have an economic development in our community. And that's really significant. And I think part of the struggle against so-called self-afflicted theft is definitely power over those institutions and also have economic development. That's basically what I can say briefly. Well,
Brother Luwezi, thank you very much for your contribution. And of course, that Black Mental Health UK roundtable discussion at the House of Lords was held today. So we want to give thanks to you, Brother Luwezi, and the tremendous work of yourself and all those in the Uhuru Movement. It's always a pleasure having you on for your excellent analysis and insight, my brother. Give thanks and praises. Tendai Mwari.
It's a privilege for me to be your guest. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tendai Mwari. And we have a text here, and it says, "We will never forget our past. The struggle continues. Lumumba forever. Homage, salute." And that's from Desriel. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, brothers and sisters. Yes, you're tuned to Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. You're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on www.galaxyfewe.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Tendai Mwari.
I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am.
Tendai Mwari, brothers and sisters. Yes, that was Brother Luwezi Kinshasa
And
of the Uhuru Movement.
Yeah, and we can open the lines if brothers and sisters want to
Yes,
make any
indeed.
comments.
Yes, indeed.
On Patrice Lumumba. We're commemorating this evening the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. The numbers are 07983 852 952 or 07538 005 634. Or you can text in 07572 222 156. Lines are now open.
Marcus Garvey is one of the most important figures in our recent history.
Mm-hmm.
Recent meaning the last maybe 100 years or so ago. Marcus Garvey led the largest mass movement among African people on a worldwide basis. That's the largest Pan-African mass movement. His movement was called the Universal Negro Improvement Association. It began in 1914 in Jamaica. It flourished in the 1920s in the United States of America. It had branches in over 40 countries around the world, about 1,200 branches, millions of followers. There never has been a movement, a mass movement among African people like Garvey's movement. So that alone makes him a major figure. One of his slogans was "Do for self, do for yourself." He was what they call a black or African nationalist. There were three major ideas he put forward. One was race first, that one should be about one's racial self-interest, not necessarily to the detriment of anybody else, but one should really concentrate on building one's own community. The next idea he put forward was self-reliance, that one should rely on one's own resources, to the extent possible. And the third idea he put forward, he called nationhood, which was about political self-determination. So this was, in essence, his package of ideas, and that's timeless. I think in every generation, we need to take those core ideas and try to apply them to our situation. We need to make young people aware of Garvey's life. Just being aware of Garvey's life. Garvey's life is intrinsically so inspiring. many folks who, on the way of Garvey, myself included, at one time, just becoming aware of what he did in itself is inspiring, because here you have somebody who was born not that long out of slavery, who had no real resources, but who was able to build himself up, pull himself up by his own bootstraps, build an international shipping company, the Black Star Line. He was able to build the largest...
To the voice of, Tottenham, my brothers and sisters, you're listening to the voice of Baba Tony Martin. We will be interacting with Queen Mother Nzinga regarding the life and legacy of Baba Tony Martin round about 9:30. So just giving you a little flavor, brothers and sisters, of the great man and his great works and that love he had for the great and most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey. Tendai Mradi. Just to remind you, brothers and sisters, the lines are now open. If you want to have to engage with us about the life and legacy of Baba Patrice Lumumba, or generally speaking, do commemorations keep us stuck in the past? One of our texters felt that we should basically move on. Do you agree? Brother Loezi spoke about how effective the legacy of Patrice Lumumba was in terms of mobilizing our people, our young people in the Congo. So is it effective, the life and legacy of these great heroes and sheroes? Tendai Murray.
We do have a text, and he says we can go back 5 million years and see how far we will get with going backwards.
Tendai Murray. Okay, is that the same text or is that another?
That's Enoch.
Okay.
But just to remind brothers and sisters, we are going to shortly go into looking at the New Cross Massacre, which is one of the events we will be commemorating this evening.
Tendai Murray. Some might say we need to look back before we go forward in case we repeat the mistakes of the past. Indeed, Sankofa, Tendai Murray. Do commemorations keep us stuck in the past, brothers and sisters? Clearly, our brother Enoch is giving his view. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree? The numbers to call in on is 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. And our brother Enoch was texting us on 07572 222 156. You're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Yes, brother Mwari, the only de-brainwashing station.
Be as proud of your race as our fathers were in the days of yore. We have a beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future that will astonish the world.
Tendai Mwari. It says here in this text, it says, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day today. Are you commemorating? That's from 523.
Tendai Mwari.
Well, yes, we are. We are definitely commemorating.
Well, hopefully we are.
We mentioned him earlier at the top of the show. You may not have heard, but we did give a honorable commemoration to Baba Martin Luther King. Yes, today is the day that is honored and celebrated in the USA. This is a public holiday. It's the third Monday of every
of
January. And so this year is the actual day that the celebrations are taking place in the US. So we definitely are commemorating that great man and his legacy. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. And we would have touched on the legacy of Papa Martin Luther King also at the Alkebu-Lan Academy of Excellence, our Saturday school. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. And can I ask the Texas if you can give your name? We really would appreciate that. Just, drop a little name in so we know who we're speaking to. And
if anybody does want to know anything about the our Saturday school, they can call on 0208 539 2154 or 07908 814 152. The Alkebu-Lan Academy of Excellence. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Yes, we have a few announcements to make as well today.
Indeed, we have, my sister Tendai Mwari. Just to enlighten our listeners, Tendai Mwari, enlighten our listeners about the 50th anniversary of the assassination, the brutal assassination of Omowale Malcolm X. Well, the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement on the Sunday, the 22nd of February, will be having our annual Malcolm X observance. The title this year is Countering the Destruction of Black Manhood, and that is taking place at the Triangle Centre, which is 91 to 93 St. Anne's Road. That's Tottenham, London, N15 6NU for you sat-nav people. Countering the conspiracy to countering the destruction of black manhood. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. And we have the texter that just texting about Martin Luther King says, my apologies, it's Colin J. Thank you, brother Colin. Respect to you as well.
And tell us what you did or what you're doing to commemorate Martin Luther King's the anniversary of his birth.
Tendai Mwari.
Martin Luther King Day. Tendai Mwari.
Also, Nomo.
Indeed, my sister. And we're going to be hearing from our guest speaker a little bit later on, around about the 9:30 mark. Queen Mother Nzinga Asata, powerful African queen, powerful Garveyite, at our annual commemoration of the life and legacy of Baba Tony Martin. She will be speaking on women of the Garvey movement, of which her book is entitled. Brothers and sisters, if you don't have it, you need to have it. You know, not enough. We don't have enough work on the great achievements and the great legacy of our African queens. And the bedrock of the Garvey movement was our great African women. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. This Nomo will be taking place on the 30th of January. That's Friday the 30th of January. That's next Friday, not this one, next Friday. 7 p.m. at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. And that's from 7 p.m. So if you join us and join Queen Mother Nzinga, and she'll be doing an excellent presentation. And she's actually, for this year, the UNIA centenary, she's produced a poster of some of these great women, because some of you might mention them, but there's no images of them. And so, we really appreciate that she's done that this year.
Indeed.
So we will have these images, especially for our girls, to have up in their room, so they don't have to be...
And for the princes too.
Yeah, and so that our girls won't have to be looking at women that may not necessarily fully represent them in their actions or their deeds, but would definitely represent them in terms of what they need to be doing as they become women. Tendai Mwari.
Absolutely, Tendai Mwari. And also, brothers and sisters, on Friday the 29th of February, our young people will be delivering of themselves. X-Storm, it's called, Friday the 29th of February, and that is at the venue in Gresham Road, which is called the Caribou Center. And I will furnish you with the address shortly. I'll furnish you with the address shortly, brothers and sisters. I know many of you know the Caribou Center in Brixton. Yeah, at Gresham Road. Tendai Mwari. We've got a caller on the line. Tendai Mwari caller. You're live on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. Our caller is either call in on 07538 005 634, and you can do the same, or 07983 852 952. Tendai Mwari caller, you're live on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Kanedu.
Tendai Mwari caller?
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, that sounds like a young princess. I can hear you. If you can just speak up a little bit, princess, and introduce yourself to our listeners.
My name is Kennedy and I'm 11 years old.
All right. Welcome to our show. What do you have to say, princess?
That I think that we should commemorate the past so we can remember our great ancestors who died, so we could have what we have today and continue to work towards the total liberation of our land and people.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Anything more you'd like to say, princess?
That we shouldn't stop commemorating.
We shouldn't stop commemorating. All right. Thank you very much, princess. That's Princess Konedu there. Thank you very much for your contribution, young princess. Tendai Mwari. Brothers and sisters, you heard it. Our princess, the young, are saying, well, we shouldn't stop commemorating. What's your view, brothers and sisters? You can call in on 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. Do we have another caller there, Sister Kai? Tenda Murray caller, you're live on Africa Speaks.
Tenda Murray.
Tenda Murray, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm a sister. That's what I say I am.
Okay.
I'm an African sister. However, I quite like the subject you're talking about Congo. A very important land in Africa, like all the other important land. And there is some, if anyone knows the information surrounding this, there is what was called the International African Association, and that was in the 1800s. And it was said, it's written that back then, Congo was allocated to the International African Association, and that was in 1876, so it was well established, I suppose, and that this association placed Congo under the control of the Belgians. And the decision that they made was to hand over Congo to this single man who is the King Leopold II of Belgium, who was exploited and murdered and treacherously depleted Congo to this day. And that went straight into the Tutsi, because I think it has some association even to the Tutsi and the Hutsi tragedy. Yes, the Tutsi and the Hutu tragedy that took place. And there is another tribe conflict
in Rwanda,
which is linked into Somali, Eritrean's background, who went in and who is a colonel now, I forgot his name. Right? So what I'm really asking, is there any information about the International African Association that was there back in the 1800s, and who had the authority to hand over a country that is more than the size was, I think it's over 2 million and something square meters wide, a country to this King Leopold of Belgium. It's not only them, but who was behind it? Who is this association? Can anyone expand on it if they know at all?
Okay, my dear sister, thank you very much.
I will listen off here.
Okay.
It's very key. It's very important for us to not forget our past. If anyone knows what else, the new template to replace Africa with the universe, you let us know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sister. Give thanks. Tenda Murray. Thank you. Tenda Murray. Yes, brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks on Galaxy Radio. Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafriwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Tenda Murray. Did you have a text there, Sister Kai?
We do have a text, and this text is from... it's gone again. This text is from... person actually didn't give their name, but hold on a minute.
Tenda Murray, okay. Right, Tenda Murray, we've got another eager caller there, calling in on 07538 005 634, also 07983 852 952. You can also text us on 07572 22156. You're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, brothers and sisters. We are talking about the importance of commemorations. Do commemorations keep us stuck in the past? Our princess, who is 11-year-old, Princess Konedu, clearly thinks that that's not the case. What do you think, brothers and sisters? Brother Clive. Tenda Murray, Brother Clive?
Clyde from Brixton. Yes,
Clyde.
I met you on the CLYDE European
Brother
name,
Clyde.
yeah. Yes, from Brixton. Yes, I was a schoolboy when the Lumumba thing, happened.
Okay.
A schoolboy, and I always remember, and even into this day, like I'm, past 6. Well, yeah. Listening to meeting a French or a Belgian man, and I had this newspaper, your newspaper, I'll try to be quick. Your newspaper the whirlwind,
Okay.
and showing him the article you done, showing this French and Belgian, and you remember the article saying that it's a good thing that he died, and I was like, these people, cannot change. Anyway, I'm trying to work fast and think. You mentioned Nzinga.
Queen Mother
Nzinga
Asata. That's correct. Yes.
Me and she was on a few marches, and the thing that I think she went to Jamaica. I thought she'd gone.
No, she's back. She's very much back with us, my elder.
Okay, she was disheartened after going on these marches and giving out the flyers, you call them, for Black Death in Custody and thing there. All they was interested in was the bookie shop. It's not good to dwell on the negative, but I thought that was what disheartened her, and she went back to Jamaica. Anyway, she's going to be at the Bang Centre. I have her book in front of me. She signed it, but she missed out to put Nzinga Asata Say Strong, but she forgot to put my name. So I'm going to bring the book when she's at the Bank Centre and let her re-sign it. Sorry.
All right. You can also, if you want to, you can even bring your book to our headquarters, Mama Africa Culture Shop, High Road, 282 High Road, Leighton, where she'll be speaking on the very subject, women in the Garvey movement.
I've got the book in front of me.
Yeah, she'll be speaking on that subject, and that's not Friday coming, but the following Friday, the 30th.
The 30th,
yes. The 30th, So that's another opportunity.
Yes, I'm probably on Galaxy Bonga City and think they're going to repeat that and think, because my radio's off now, I can't take what we just spoke. Okay, thank you for taking my call.
And thank you for your contribution as well. And obviously you were on the front line back in the day as well with Queen Mama Nzinga. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you, brother.
Okay.
So keep it up, yes?
All right, my brother. I'm right.
There's no station I know like Galaxy Radio. We no follow fashion, we come to set the pattern. Galaxy Radio. I feel we station, enough for them. I feel we station, enough for them. I feel we station, enough for them. Enough for them.
My brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com. Tenamari. On 18th of January 1981, in the early hours of the 18th of January 2015, a vigil organized by the Interim National African People's Parliament took place outside 439 New Cross Road to remember the victims of the massacre that took place at this location 34 years earlier, the result of a purportedly racially motivated firebomb attack. Andrew Goodin, 18th of Feb 62 to the 18th of Jan 81. Owen Thompson, 11th of September 64 to the 18th of January 1981. Patricia Johnson, 16th of May 1965 to the 18th of Jan 1981. Patrick Cummins, the 21st of September 1964 to the 18th of January 1981. Steve Collins, the 2nd of May 1963 to the 18th of January 1981. Lloyd Hall, the 28th of November 1960 to the 18th of January 1981. Humphrey Brown, the 4th of July 1962 to the 18th of January 1981. Rosalie Henry, the 23rd of September 1964 to the 18th of January 1981. Peter Campbell, the 23rd of Feb 1962 to the 18th of January 1981. Jerry Paul Francis, the 21st of October 1963 to the 18th of January 1981. Glenton Powell, the 18th of January 1966 to the 25th of January 1981. Paul Ruddock, 19th of November 1960 to the 9th of February 1981. Yvonne Ruddock, the 17th of January 1965 to the 24th of January 1981. Anthony Burbick, the 17th of Messiah 1962, 17th of August 1962 to the 9th of July 1983. It is important to remember that the greatest single tragedy to befall the African community in the UK is still an unsolved crime. The massacre that was the key catalyst for mass protests like the National Black People's Day of Action on the 2nd of March 1981 also proved beyond any doubt the UK society's indifference to African suffering. Nevertheless, the events of the 18th of January 1981 are a source of contention to this day, with some asserting that the fire was not the result of a racist attack, and that there are those that know who is responsible but have been, quote, sworn to secrecy because of the outrage it would cause, unquote. Proponents of this view also claim that if the community didn't believe the fire was the result of a racist attack, then most people would not have attended protests like the National Black People's Day of Action. However, such perspectives are belied by the extensive police cover of the case and the fact that such a conclusion will be the state's ideal outcome that they have not yet been able to evidence. Tendai Moadi brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. It's Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. I want to bring forward our special guests on this particular subject matter, brothers and sisters. Brother Leader Mbandaka. Tendai Moadi, Brother Leader, welcome to Africa Speaks. Our Brother Leader is the spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement and also a firm fixture of Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Tendai Moadi, Brother Leader.
Tendai Moadi, Brother Moadi. .5 FM, Fiwi station. I think that's what we affirm.
Indeed.
That means it belonged to we, right?
It belonged to we,
and nobody else. And I bring greetings as always in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, Alkebu-Lan, Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people upon the face of Mother Earth. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Moadi.
Tendai Moadi, Brother Leader. First of all, I just want to ask you about the commemoration that took place Saturday night going into Sunday morning, about 4 o'clock Sunday morning, organized by the Interim National African People's Party, otherwise known as INAP. Tendai Moadi.
Tendai Moadi. Yes, my brother, I'll be happy to do so. Can I just steal a minute or two, just to commend our beloved sister.
We'll give you the moment, my brother. You don't have
give thanks and praises. I'm honored. Just to honor Sister Matilda McCatram of the Black Mental Health UK for convening a very, very important roundtable meeting
this morning
at the House of Lords. And this was a meeting with Lord Harris, as he's titled and named, which was to review the self-inflicted, quote-unquote, deaths in deaths in custody of 18-year-olds to 24-year-olds in British prisons. And it was a very, very important meeting. Gave us an opportunity to gather with our sister in the presence of the state, represented by Lord Harris, so titled and named, and to really discuss some of the very serious issues that are affecting our community, which too few of us know about. too few of us have the relevant information about. And it was, and this, our Sister Matilda, and the Black Mental Health UK work daily and tirelessly
Indeed.
to bring these issues to light in our community, as well as at the state level, and battling for the protection of African humanity. A disproportionate number of our young people are incarcerated, and the younger the age group, the higher the proportion of our young people.
The younger the age group.
The younger the age group, the higher the percentage, the higher the disproportionality.
Right.
And there's a category of concern now, which they call self-inflicted deaths, meaning that the deaths are caused by injury that these young people do to themselves. But as the point was powerfully made by Brother Loezi, who we were honored to have on the program today, that any death of African people within the context of oppression is never self-inflicted.
Word.
It is the cause of the system of oppression. I did, prior to that, make the point that we have to interrogate this notion of self-inflicted deaths, and to what extent these self-inflicted deaths are indeed self-inflicted deaths. Because oftentimes what we hear being referred to as self-inflicted death is usually due to some form of external agency. Right. So it was a very, very important conference. And most importantly, it was agreed that we need to have a community summit, a community gathering of the representatives who were present at that meeting today, to review that meeting and to discuss an agenda for moving forward, and to holding the state to account, whilst at the same time looking at how we can empower ourselves to protect our young people and to promote their interest as a community, which is our responsibility. So I really want to just commend Sister. I hope that she's listening in. I know she's very, very tired, and she was going home today to have some rest, but I hope that she was able to rest for several hours and is able to tune in and listen to us this evening. So give thanks and praises for that opportunity, Brother Amawale.
Tenamai, my brother.
Tenamai.
Yes, indeed. Right. So we wanted to speak about the vigil.
Yes.
That took place Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Tenamai. And it would be great for anyone who attended the vigil to call in and share their views about how the vigil went. But the vigil was convened because the date of the New Cross massacre and the day aligned this year. In other words, the incident happened on Umoja Day, Sunday, the 18th of January. The fatal incident, that tragedy, happened on the 18th of January 1981 on the morning, on the Umoja morning or Sunday morning, around about 5:30 or so. The fire broke out. So it was decided that this year, because date and day were in alignment, that for the first time since we have been annually commemorating the National Black People's Day of Action, which was called, as we know, in response to the New Cross massacre, and so it therefore incorporates a commemoration of the New Cross massacre. But this is the first time since then that we've had that alignment and felt it was necessary to have an observance, a candlelight vigil.
It's an excellent initiative.
It was an excellent initiative, and it was a moving ceremony. The ceremony lasted for about an hour. There was probably 30 Africans gathered, which is, reasonably good, maybe approaching 30 people, which was reasonably good for that time of the morning. We gathered about 4 o'clock in the morning and finished just after 5 o'clock. It was indeed cold. It was a cold, wet morning. It was raining. It rained continually, but even that moment was expertly captured by Brother Kojo, who delivered a very
Brother
Kojo Bonsu from High Wycombe, who is one of the from African Heartbeat, but is also one of the leadership of INAP, delivered a very, very moving speech where he acknowledged the element of water that was pouring down at the time, which we know water is the element that extinguishes fire. Yeah, and of course, 34 years ago, at that time of the morning, 439 New Cross Road, outside of which we stood, was a blazing inferno, and of course took the lives of 13 of our young people, and of course a 14th subsequently jumped to his death because of mental afflictions from the post-traumatic stress that he continued to experience for 2 years after the incident. So it was a very moving ceremony, and we thank the leadership of the International African People's Parliament. Of course, it was appropriately led by Sister Ekoa Esther Sanford Jose, and the leadership came together, Sister Asha, Sister Jendai, and all acquitted themselves very, very well in terms of how this ceremony was led and how it was presented. Tendai Mwale. So we give thanks and praises. And I must also give honor to Mama Sybil Phoenix, who is in her 80s. She must be 85 years, if a year. And she was there in all her regality, in all her dignity as an elder who is a New Cross massacre veteran, one of the people who was
one of the key people
involved in organizing the community mobilization in response to the atrocity, giving support to victim families, whether the fatal victims or to surviving victim families. She was key in rendering support at various levels, and also in organizing the New Cross massacre. She was one of the people who helped to run the Moonshot Center, where funds were raised, where many of the meetings of the New Cross Massacre Action Committee were organized from. And this is wonderful to have Mama Sybil Phoenix present with us in the pouring rain, appropriately seated under an umbrella that was being held for her. And it was just very, very moving. Also, there were members of victim families who were also present. And I just want to say that was in itself very, very deeply moving.
Indeed.
We give thanks and praises for their presence and for the occasion. Tenai Moari.
Right, Tenai, brother leader, some of us may not be aware of for want of a better term, the controversy around what took place.
Plenty controversy.
In 1981, in the New Cross Massacre, as we call it. Could you just quickly highlight?
Yeah, indeed. Tenai Moari. And we continue to refer to it as the New Cross Massacre because the context in which this incident happened, and I think our listeners need to be very, very clear that this was not a one-off incident. This was part of a repeated, ongoing experience that African people were having in this country, especially in that area, that
firebombing,
that area of Deptford. It was known. It was a known area for racist attacks, whether physical attacks on the person or firebomb attacks on buildings. In fact, the Moonshot itself was attacked, I think, on two occasions. The Moonshot was attacked. So
firebomb was a normal.
It was, yes, it was standard, for African families, for African people to be attacked on the streets, and for African homes, African community centers to be attacked, to be firebombed. This was just the worst outcome of a firebomb attack on an African home, usually the media would do a whiteout on these incidents. But of course, because of the nature of this particular incident and because of the level of the fatality, they could not do that on this occasion. So it wasn't anything, anything different. It wasn't anything new. It wasn't happening for the first time. That was a context in which it happened. Rampant, violent racism, violent racist attack on African people and African property. Yes, and there is this view that the fire was not caused by a racist attack, and
we've already got a texter that's actually stating that. I don't even want to hear the text. It says, people that was at the party gave evidence that the fire was started in the front room over jealousy because some woman leave the party and went away with a man and he lose his mind and start the fire.
Did the person leave his name or her name?
Okay, and let me go back to that one.
Okay, why are we doing that?
Yes, it's Enoch.
Oh, okay. Enoch again.
Oh, Enoch, my brother Enoch, the brother who doesn't value the importance of history, even though the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, says that people without knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. They will wither and die. And there's a famous saying that those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat its mistake. There are no people who have pride in themselves. There are no people who are properly grounded in their own consciousness, in their own cultural awareness, who do not value history. Whenever you hear, and it's only African people that you will hear denigrating and undermining the importance of history and commemoration. We're the only people that have a problem with that. You look at other people who are powerful, other powerful people on the planet. The more powerful they are, the more they value their history.
But the Europeans are currently glorifying their First World War, isn't it?
Well, exactly. The centenary of the World War. Every year they have they have Remembrance Day every year. They have all kinds of commemorative events. In fact, indeed, today we were at the House of Parliament, the Houses of Parliament, and wherever you go in that building, there are monuments built to who they consider to be the great men of their
statues,
and paintings and massive. You're talking about monumental size statues and paintings commemorating the lives of great contributors to the history of Britain. Yes, and only we as a people have a problem with that. So when you hear an African who is undermining the value of history, that is an African who is lacking in consciousness, and that is a thoroughly miseducated African, whatever the person's name, that is a thoroughly miseducated African. And we just pray for that, for those individuals.
My brother, yes,
you were saying that there's
the controversy.
Yes, isn't it amazing, brothers and sisters, that there are people, and just about any radio station I go on now, and once you start talking about the New Cross massacre, somebody's going to text in or phone in and challenge the validity of the notion of a firebomb, a racist firebomb attack. And they come with this story, this narrative of some jealous person who has a partner had gone off with somebody else or whatever it is. It's amazing that the police who were supposed to be investigating the incident made up a story that the fire was started as a result of a fight between a number of boys or young men in the party. And the police coerced young people into writing statements that included that false claim. These falsified
And
statements.
these are victims that they
These are victims. No fight took place in the party. Yeah? So it means that from the outset, the police had a policy of distorting the truth about what happened. There was a cover-up from the outset. Yes? So one has to ask the question, what motivated, rather like the Stephen Lawrence case, the strange behavior of the police, you know, after the murder of Stephen Lawrence, basic normal procedures in order to take advantage of evidence, following evidence, fresh evidence, in order to try to catch the criminals.
Right. So
were not followed.
Right.
Basic procedures. And the same thing happened
New Cross.
more than a decade earlier with New Cross. Yeah? Why were the police hell-bent on distorting the truth from the outset? Yes? Why didn't it would have been in the interest of the state, you know, who wanted to deny from early
that it was a racist
firebomb attack. If they had information
or
evidence of this incident, there were 2 inquests have been held so far. Why has no evidence of that come to light in these 2 inquests? That would have sewn things up. It would have suited the position of the state, yes, and everything would have been done and dusted by now, and somebody would be behind bars, yeah, and everybody would know who committed the crime, and it would have turned out to be one of the party goers. Yeah?
We have a text here.
Tendai
and it says New Cross fire. It was a racist or hate attack, and that was said from the police I spoke to. I covered the story, and that's from Colin J., who's a journalist. And he said, I was on the march, and I will never forget waking up the next morning to the Sun headline, the day the blacks ran riot in London. How hateful.
Tendai Murray. Yeah, the press and the media was vicious.
The whole atmosphere,
in its assault on the African character, in response to this tragedy. You know, people were bereft. People were feeling distressed by what had happened in our community, and the media were scathing. They were racist. I mean, they were nasty, to say the very least.
The disrespect went right up to their monarchy, didn't it?
Well, yes, because protocol wasn't followed on that occasion. The standard protocol was that when such a tragedy befell a family or a community, the monarch of the day would send a message of condolence. The Prime Minister of the day would also send a message of condolence and also pronounce a condolence to the family and the community from the House of Commons. None of those protocols were observed in the case of the New Cross massacre. And as a result of the distortion of the investigation, 34 years on, we still do not know factually. We don't know who was responsible for setting this fire because of the action of the police in distorting the evidence and not following proper procedures in terms of their investigation. Tendai Murray.
Enoch, who's text back, and I just received a call from somebody else who's called Enoch, who I think said he was on Noki's show. And he was down at Galaxy. He is not the Enoch that is texting in this stuff, and you just want to clarify it. Enoch who was on Galaxy. It's a different Enoch.
Okay,
this is white like Enoch.
There's a Galaxy Enoch. Is that right?
Or somebody that was at a Galaxy
event
or show or meeting.
Okay.
But he's making it clear that it's not him.
All right.
So this is white like Enoch. This person's called white like Enoch. I just call him Enoch for short. But anyway, it goes, it was established that the fire, this is from Enoch, it was established that the fire was started by black people. There would not be any march. No, if it was established, it said, that the fire was started by black people, there would not be any march, and Brother Ndaka was not at the party. People who was there said it was because of jealousy. But we just heard from Colin J., who's a journalist, and he made it quite clear that the police and everybody that was there saying it was a racist attack.
Tendai Murray. Well, I have spoken to people who were at the party who, to this day, believe that it was a racist attack. I do recall very well because I followed the New Cross massacre very, very closely in 1981. I was 18 years old at the time, and I was devastated by what had happened to our young brothers and sisters, my age, a little bit older, and some of them even younger. And I do remember it being reported in the press the following day that an incendiary device was found in the front lawn. I remember that very, very well. I do know that Mrs. Ruddock was told that an incendiary device was found by the police. She was told this, that an incendiary device was found, that, in other words, an explosive device was found in the front lawn the same morning of the fire. Why was Mrs. Ruddock told that by the police? And as I said, I have spoken to individuals, spoken to some who believe that it wasn't. I've spoken to some who believe that it was. I've also spoken to the veterans of the New Cross Massacre Action Committee who were involved in investigating the incident.
Did a thorough investigation because they knew the police were not committed to an objective investigation to ascertain the truth about what happened. And so they carried out their own investigations. And the investigation was not to invent evidence, but to identify, to unearth evidence and pass it on to the police. And that's what they did. They unearthed evidence and passed that evidence on to the police. And that evidence included a white woman coming into the party around about just after 5 o'clock in the morning. And she came in, how did the story go now? She came in some kind of
with a briefcase and left without that briefcase. Asked to use a toilet and left without that briefcase. Nobody knows who this woman is. Nobody knows where she went, but that evidence was passed on to the police. And reportedly, the police never pursued that piece of evidence. And apparently, other pieces, a multiplicity of pieces of evidence were unearthed and passed on to the police, which they never followed up. Tendai Mari.
Galaxy Radio, the only deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station.
Tena, my brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. We got a caller on the line, Sister Desiree? Desi Roth. Oh, a brother, sorry. Tena, my brother Desi Roth. We can't.
When me I go out and someone to commemorate me out. Can't forget to commemorate all our ancestors, mothers and fathers and greater. Get me?
Okay, we just
commemoration forever.
From Marcus and all of them. Dirty Bookman, Dirty Kojo, Nani, all of the greats. My mother and my father. Grandfather and great. Commemorate. Blessed out.
Yes, I.
Blessed. Give thanks and praises, brother.
Yeah, our brother also mentioned Rassimor as well amongst the legion of ancestors.
Great ancestors.
Indeed.
Tendai
Mwari. We give thanks for the vibration there. And it is Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com. You can engage with us, brothers and sisters, on 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. Shortly, we'll be hearing from Queen Mother Nzinga Asata about women of the Garvey movement. Who she'll be speaking on that subject on the 30th of this month, 30th of January, at our headquarters, Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10. Tendai Mari. We have Brother Prodigal on the line. Tendai Mari, Brother Prodigal, welcome to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. What's your contribution this evening?
Greetings. I have 2 points.
Go ahead, my brother.
The first one is on the commemoration,
Uh-huh.
the history
Yes.
of African
Is it
people.
important to you?
Very important. If you do not understand where you're coming from, then you get lost. You don't know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You end up with all sort of tribulation.
Indeed.
It's very important that history help us to bring some order within ourselves.
So you don't feel it keeps us stuck in the past.
If you dwell on it,
Mm-hmm.
yes. If you, history, there are the relevant and the irrelevant part of history. Once we stick with the relevant part, then there's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, you heard, I don't know if you heard earlier on about our brother Luwezi from the Uhuru Movement talking about how the legacy of Patrice Lumumba helps to mobilize the young people of the Congo in this country, for example. So that's an example of not dwelling on it, but utilizing it.
Exactly. Because there are some great people amongst us. Brother Bandaka is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell by his voice.
Give
all right,
thanks.
all right.
You know, healthy, clean, orderly. When you hear voices like those, it stops you from being a mug, from being stupid. So it's very important that we listen to people like Brother Bandaka. So it's not all of us is on the same table or on the level. So people who can see can help us open our eyes also. So history is very important in its telling you know what has gone on before.
Indeed. You had another, sorry my elder, you had another point that you wanted to raise, is that so?
Yes, the other point was the new crossfire.
Uh-huh.
I was about 20-something at the time, 20, 27, 26, somewhere around here, when it took place. Now, I went on the march as well. I was on the march also.
Okay. You were part of that 25,000 plus strong.
Largest march ever in the history of African outside of Africa. I don't know inside, but outside of Africa.
That's
The
right.
largest.
Certainly the largest on the shores of Britain.
Yes, I took it from Warwick Road
Right.
to Westminster and so on. It was very, very significant, although it was a blow to us, you know, because I don't think many people realize the hatred that exists within this culture, society that we live in. The degree of hatred.
Give us a sense of that mood, my brother. Give us a sense of that mood.
That mood, it really lifted me. You know, it really lifted me. Because to see people come together like that, and you could look as far as your eye could see, and the European was shocked. They totally were dismayed. They couldn't move to see that we could come together for some tragedy that really happened to us.
Can I just ask you, my brother, about the controversy? You probably heard our brother Enoch saying that it was some dispute between a man over a woman, but the prevailing view is that it was a racist firebombing. What's your view?
See, when these incidents take place, there will be rumor, gossip, and hearsay. And we, as Africans, that is the most dangerous weapon in the hands of the oppressor. We must be very careful not to just utter. You see, as Brother Bandaka was carefully, he was using step-by-step evidence. He wasn't just picking out something and saying what took place or whatever. He was going by evidence, what actually happened. So when somebody comes along and say, and was not there and say certain things, we must be very aware of that, the intelligence of that person, why you would want to say that.
And perhaps the motivation.
Yes. So these things will happen amongst us, definitely. You know, this is part of life. Until we realize that you cannot just get up and say what you like, you know, and the consequences of what you say. When you open your mouth, there are consequences. So one must be very careful when they loosen their tongue.
Indeed.
And must be aware of the danger it can create as well.
Indeed, my elder.
Now, there's the second point. The next one, I don't know Brother Bandaka, if he was I know he's younger than me, but I don't know if he was aware of the Sunderland Road fire.
1971.
In Forest Hill.
1971.
Yes. I just left school. I was at that fire. I was in that fire. The party that was in Sunderland Road was a friend of my brother, and my brother invited me there. When we went there, in the party was early, and there were some Europeans there. Apparently, I heard they used to. The person who held the party had a calf, and these Europeans used to attend the calf. So they were invited to the party. When they were in the party, they became rowdy, and they were asked to leave. They left, and they went away, made some petrol bombs, came back, and threw them in the house, through the windows and through the door. And they exploded. One exploded in my face.
Right.
And
this is real history, bro.
Yes, because I was there. It happened to me. You know, I got it fully in my face. And what I did, I went out to the back door. At the time, it was snowing, and there was snow on the ground, so I used the snow to cool down my face, because I was on fire, my clothes. So this is part of the history that many people who came to this country need to, that's why history is so important. So I'm giving
my brother, let me pause you there for a moment. I don't know whether you are aware that there was also a racist firebomb attack on a party in Leighton in 1991, 92, somewhere around there. Are you aware of that?
I think I catch a little of it, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not fully aware, but
one sister died. One sister died in that party. That party happened not far from where I was living.
Yes, I did hear something, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't get it fully.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was, but I did hear about some attack happening up there.
That's a party I was due to attend as well, and there were a number of members of the Pan-African community who were actually at that party. And you know, again, some racists who lived in the tower block where the party was actually happening launched a firebomb attack on the party, and one sister died as a result of that. So
did she jump from
jumped
from the flat window?
Yeah, because of the
intensity of the heat,
the fire, and they were kind of locked off in the kitchen, and she panicked and jumped.
Trying to get to the black balcony below.
tried to climb out to get to the balcony below, and she fell. Actually, she didn't jump.
Oh, right.
She fell
Right.
to her death. So there's a history to this, my brother. Go ahead. I just wanted to throw that in. So there was one in 1971, 1981, 1991, 92. Tendai Mwari.
Yeah. Sure, there's a few more.
Many others in between, but these are the most well known.
Yeah, these are the most highlighted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need people to record our history of what happened to us when we came to this island.
Okay.
And the struggle. Many people has died for the struggle, and so we need these things to be recorded so we can be aware of the environment we're living in and the kind of people we're around. Because right now it's happening in the workplaces, in the judicial system. It's happening right through and through.
Absolutely.
People are going through hell, but they're keeping it quiet. So it's very important that we don't stay enslaved.
Absolutely, my elder.
It's very important that we free our mind from this.
Give thanks and praises, my elder, for your contribution. I'm really sorry. We have to move on. We've got our guest, Queen Mother Nzinga, waiting. So we thank you again for your wonderful contributions. We hope Brother Enoch is listening as well.
I just got a call, Brother Umwali, from a sister. She didn't want to go online, but she said we should stop calling him brother because we have no idea whether he's a brother or sister because he hasn't come on air. And she said that the person should actually come on air so we can identify them. We shouldn't just assume that they're a brother or a sister. They're called Enoch. And we should basically
he didn't say Brother Enoch.
No,
just Enoch.
All right, and basically what she's also saying is that what kind of mindset would want to be saying that and purporting that kind of negativism? Let them come forward before we start declaring or owning these people.
Tendai Mwari, I just want to remind our listeners as well that there's a lot of parallels in the corrupt behavior of the police, and it is corrupt behavior in relation to the New Cross massacre compared to the Stephen Lawrence case. There are a lot of parallels, and it's important that we remember that when Stephen Lawrence was murdered, I know Queen Mother Nzinga is waiting to come on, but let me just say this very quickly. When Stephen Lawrence was murdered, the police tried to implicate him in his own murder by suggesting that he was in some kind of gang. They even treated Dwayne Brooks, and he's written a whole book on the way that he was treated by the police. Not only did they try to imply that he was some gangster involved in his friend's murder, they harassed and harangued him for years.
Beat him up many
times.
Beat him up.
He was falsely imprisoned. All sorts of things. And also, let us not forget that the Lawrence family were infiltrated by the police, and this is now public knowledge, infiltrated by the police who were instructed to spy on the Lawrence family and dig up as much dirt as possible. So is it hard to imagine that the same kind of tactics was afoot in the 1980s in relation to the Ruddock family? They had to be demonized, and they had to be somehow implicated in the attack on their own home.
Standard character assassination.
Absolutely. That woman lost 2 of her children, and her whole home, entire home, was burnt to the ground. You know what I mean?
Gutted.
Burnt out, gutted. Yes? And then this, this has been turned on its head. Are we surprised? Are we surprised? We see what the police is capable of. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, give thanks to that, Brother Leader. Just to let our listeners know that we are going to be speaking to Queen Mother Nzinga, who will be honouring Baba Tony Martin very shortly. We've got a caller.
Sorry, Sister Kai, we need to let our we also need to let our listeners know that we will be closing at 10:30 as well. So,
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so we have an extension to 10:30. But this is our last caller we're taking on this particular part of the show, not our last caller for the evening. So you can call in after Queen Mother Nzinga speaks, but you can text in on 07572 222 156. That's 07572 222 156. And we have Simba on the line. Simba, how would you like to join the discussion? I'm going to ask you to be tight because we will be going over to Queen Mother Nzinga very shortly.
Tenamwari. Yeah, being the son of Brother Leader, I'll do my best to be tight.
Okay. Tenamwari. Greetings, son.
Yes, Tenamwari.
Nice, good to hear your voice.
Yes, Daddy. I want to try and deal with all my issues, all my points at once. Starting off with the Newcastle massacre, and I can't remember exactly who made this statement, but I've heard it a few times in the last couple of years that even if we don't know what took place in the Newcastle massacre, even if we don't know the ins and outs that took place at the party, if we don't know if it was racist or not, everything that took place afterwards was clearly racist. The attack on our people, the attack on the families, the attack on the victims was clearly racist. So even if we don't know what happened inside the party, we're still dealing with a racist attack on our people and on the families of the victims.
So very good point.
Who was at the party. Personally, I think growing up as in a movement, in a family who took commemorations as something very important, what it did for me was give me an understanding of the society that I was living in and the people that I was up against. So when I was going to school, I realized that it was bigger than just the issue that I was facing at school. I realized this was a bigger issue that had been going on for generations before me, and I was merely a foot soldier. So I had the responsibility to my people being in that classroom. I had the responsibility to my people being on the street when I was stopped by the police. And I remember being taught about the Newcastle massacre from young. I remember actually being at some of the Stephen Lawrence inquiries in Elephant and Castle. I also remember waking up the morning when he spoke about the firebomb in the early 90s. I remember that whole situation and being at the funeral as well. So these commemorations have done something for me and my mentality and how I deal with my people and also how I deal with the enemy that I'm dealing with. Also, when we look at, as I said before, all people who consider themselves great commemorate their past. And I always wonder why, with our people, the same ones who state that we should not commemorate, seem to commemorate other people's events. 9/11, Thanksgiving, Valentine's, bonfire. Now we hold these commemorations in high esteem. But when it comes to our own commemorations, we want to sweep them under the carpet as if to say it's not important.
Remembrance Day.
Brother Simba, yes, we're just coming out of what we call the Babylon Christmas season, where people celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ over 2,000 years ago. What do you think about that?
And we spend whole heap of money.
Absolutely.
And now half the black community is broke at this point because of our Christmas spending.
You get the credit cards out.
Yeah, but we spend to commemorate, but for somebody else's benefit. Also, just
and them can't turn on them gas and electric come after January 1st. Them can't put on them gas and electric about 2 months.
In the name of commemoration.
Absolutely.
Just last 2 points very quickly. We spoke about Congo earlier. I've been to Belgium and I've seen how they commemorate King Leopold and the chocolate hands, which is basically can't remember the word, but basically the chocolate hands is basically hands that was chopped off of our people under King Leopold. And a friend of mine was, when I explained to them about the chocolate hand situation, she was in Belgium and actually saw a Valentine's Day box of chocolate, and it had the chocolate hands in it, but also it had a monkey teddy bear. The monkey teddy bear has no hands. So the chocolate inside the box was actually...
Just to explain to the listeners, could you explain to the listeners the significance of the chocolate hands?
Under King Leopold, when they were picking rubber, I believe it was.
Yes.
Punishment for not working fast enough, for not picking enough rubber, or just because they was having a bad day. It could have been the hands were severed of men, women, and children. And
when you say severed, you mean chopped off, yeah?
Chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
And for each hand that was chopped off, a chocolate hand was made, as of the hands that was chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, that is, and I've witnessed this myself. To this day, chocolate hands are still sold, and it's still a delicacy in Belgium. To this day,
and the hands were sent to King Leopold.
Yeah, the hands were sent to King Leopold. So
there were trophies. Those hands were used. Were were used as trophies.
And this is something that I witnessed. But to them, King Leopold did something great for their economy. So for them, he needs to be commemorated. But for us, when we commemorate the great people of our history and our culture, we always question these things. And lastly is the Martin Luther King Day, which is today. And I believe it's important that we commemorate Martin Luther King. But one thing I have to say about our commemorations is that we have to take control of our own commemorations and dictate how we commemorate of our past. Malcolm X Day is a federal celebration, federal commemoration in America.
You mean Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, sorry. It is a federal commemoration simply because the federal officers want an extra day's holiday. That's why it's always on a Monday, so they have a longer weekend, basically. Now, we used to commemorate Martin Luther King Day after his assassination around, and there was posters that they used to put up in the 60s and the 70s, basically telling Africans not to go to work because we're commemorating Martin Luther King Day. Now, because it started to damage the economy of America, they had to take it seriously. We put a dent in the economy because on that particular day, Africans did not go to work, simply because it was Martin Luther King Day. And I think that is the history of Martin Luther King Day that we need to basically put out there. And because America didn't commemorate Martin Luther King because of his great work for African people against white injustice, they commemorate him because he's seen as the non-violent approach to white supremacy. Mm-hmm. So we have to take control of our own commemorations and dictate how they are commemorated. We have the power to do so. We just need to use that power in the correct way.
Tenamori, Bro Simba, and you've certainly enlightened.
Sound and power.
Tenamori, and you've certainly enlightened and informed our listeners. So we appreciate of that.
Tenamori. We have a text here, and it says it is part of our culture to hail up our past ancestors and to remember their achievements. Then their energy will flow into I and I. And that's from Sister D. She also says we have to do both. We honor our past and forward into the future. We cannot do one without the other. One love. We need to remind ourselves and our young where we have been.
Tendai This is why we say in INAP, and this is the motto of the commemoration of the National Black People's Day of Action. Commemorate, evaluate, organize to liberate. Commemorate, evaluate, organize to liberate. When we decided to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the National Black People's Day of Action, one of the things we said distinctly is that we did not want it to be an occasion that was just lost in nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia, that we wanted to use it to evaluate our present and to look at how we can organize to empower and liberate ourselves in the future. Because that is to correct the mistake of the 30 years ago when 25,000 people came out on the streets. We marched, we poured out our grief, our anxieties and so on, but we did not harness the power potential and actualize that power potential in terms of organizing a national structure and building institutions for the empowerment of our people. Tendai Mwari.
Galaxy Radio, the only deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station. Deep brainwashing station.
Tonight, my brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyfewe.com. Just to remind you, brothers and sisters, that our show is extended to 10:30 this evening. So we will be we'll be engaging with Queen Mother Nzinga very, very shortly over in honor of the great Baba Tony Martin. Just before Queen Mother Nzinga, who I know is on the line, just before she comes in, I just want to just touch on a few quick points. Tenai Mwari. The Pan-African world received from the news that Professor Anthony Tony Claude Martin on the 21st of Feb 1942 to the 17th of January 1913. The leading and official historian on the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey, and the Garvey movement passed into the ancestral realm. Dr. Martin burst onto the academic scene in the early 70s with a bold and selfless mission to slay the decades-old white supremacist mission to consign the legacy of Papa Garvey to oblivion. He provided the concluding academic chapter in John Henrik Clarke's Marcus Garvey and the Vision of Africa, and 2 years later produced Race First. Now, just to sort of, in addition, he published 2 volumes on the Grenade, amongst his great voluminous work. In addition, he published 2 volumes on the Grenada Revolution and the political masterpiece, The Jewish Onslaught, in 1993, which was a battle cry for cultural self-determination in the face of the racist academy. In sum, it's difficult to overestimate how much our knowledge and understanding of Papa Garvey has been influenced by this intellectual giant. To this end, the Alkebu-Lan will be hosting a Tony Martin commemoration event, Women in the Garvey Movement, presented by our special guest this evening, Queen Mother Nzinga Asata, at our headquarters. Tendai Mradi, greetings and welcome, Queen Mother Nzinga. Sorry about the delay interacting with you on our program. Tendai Mradi.
Tendai Mradi. Greetings. It's good to speak to the community and to be invited to make a contribution to the commemoration that will be held to honor the work of our great scholar, Professor Tony Martin, who is now one of the ancestors guiding us on our journey.
Your thoughts on him, Queen Mother?
I mean, basically, as you've already read, Professor Tony Martin was an icon in our community. He could have just lived his life as many of our people do. He has risen to great heights as a professor, the prestigious College for Women, where he wrote many of the works of our great hero Marcus Messiah Garvey, and not forgetting the book that was written honouring the life of Amy Ashwood Garvey, which we will be talking about at the NOMO session on the 30th of this month. Professor Tony Martin is a great icon in our community, one that must be honoured, and we could never forget the works of people like Tony Martin, as many who have also contributed. And I read on your literature whereby people are asking why we should be still talking about ancestors who have contributed, and really only a fool would deny the great work that people such as Professor Tony Martin have contributed to give us information, to make us aware, and to build on the legacy. When people like Professor Martin speaks and writes and contributes, it actually sets the scene for us to tell us what we should be doing and what contributions we should be making. So in fact, it places us as the baton carriers to add to and develop and advance the legacy that has been left for us. So we honour that work and we honour Professor Tony Martin, and we need to ensure that future generations are aware of his sacrifice and his contribution to ensuring that the legacy of our great hero Marcus Messiah Garvey has been handed on to future generations. And as you mentioned, the book about the Jewish onslaught, I mean, Professor Tony Martin took a lot of criticism and stick for that work, as is often the case. When people stand up for race first and for their own people, there's always a lot to be said. And yet when other people are doing it, there's nothing to be said. So, you know, we must honour that work and ensure that future generations are aware of his sacrifice, because as I said earlier, he could have just earned his big salary and, be comfortable in a system that wants us to collaborate with them and forget race first. They don't want us to be operating on that agenda. But he took the mantle and decided that the world needed to know the real legacy of our great hero, Marcus Messiah Garvey, and the great work of the UNIA. So we honor him, and we will never stop honoring him and commemorating his passing in our community.
Tendamwari, Queen Mother Nzinga.
Tendamwari.
Now, your famous book, Women in the Garvey Movement. Why was it important for you to write a book about women in the Garvey movement?
To be honest, if we look at society, even in contemporary society, we know that women make a significant contribution to our liberation and to the growth and development of our people. And all too often, their legacy is not given the prominence that it deserves. And in fact, if you look at much of the literature that has been written, it would appear that women are not given any profile. Even in many of the books on the Garvey movement, very little has been said in them about the work of the women. And yet we know that women made up at least 50% of the UNIA, and that they were staunch liberationists, powerful leaders within this movement. And so that work needed to be highlighted. And so that was really, and I also believe in a legacy of the work that women have done to influence younger generations so that they can see their role and responsibility to take up that baton and to be part of the great work that we have to do as a people.
Right, excellent. Thank you very much, Queen Mother Nzinga. And we had a caller earlier on that was telling us of you being on the front line, many a march in our community, that you and also the many organizations that you've been involved in. So
absolutely.
In terms of your own personal sort of history, as a young woman, why was the getting involved in the cause of our people so important? What inspired you to get involved?
The truth is that as a people, we all have a responsibility to contribute to the growth and development of our people. And so once you become aware that there is work to be done, you really are in default if you are not making a contribution. And it started off very, very early with, in fact, the Association of Black Social Workers and Allied Professionals looking at the way in which black children were being placed in families that were not of their...
not African.
What would I? Non-African families placed all over the country, coming back, hating themselves, and trying to rub their skin off and things like that. So that was the first part of my work. And once you begin to realize how racism impacts your people and destroys their potential, then you have a responsibility and a duty. And so for me, that was where my consciousness about my responsibility to make a contribution began.
Tendamwari, but you continued in terms of mobilizing, organizing, being at marches and demonstrations and liberation meetings.
It's our responsibility. The truth is, nobody else isn't going to do it for us, so we have a responsibility to ensure that we are actively doing work that is going to wake our people up, mobilize them to make a contribution, and also for them to leave a legacy. I don't want to be gone and for no one to remember that I did something to advance our people. That is our duty and our responsibility.
Well, Tendamwari, Queen Mother Nzinga, Brother Leader Bandaka here.
Greetings, Brother Leader.
It's an honor to be in your company, so to speak.
Thank you.
On
and the same.
Sorry?
And the same for you.
Give thanks and praises. Give thanks and praises.
Much love.
I hope you're not planning to leave us anytime soon.
Well, I hope not, but you just don't know. I also just want to mention, as I'm on air, the passing of Sister Minta Jess Wilson, mother of Ella Jess and Michael Jess, and also mother-in-law to Paul Reed, leader at the Black Cultural Archives, recently.
Yes.
She has joined the ancestors.
Yes. Give thanks and praises for that, Queen Mother Nzinga. I did hear of the passing of the elder who was a significant presence in our community.
Absolutely, and whose children have made significant contributions to forwarding an African agenda in the community.
I think that would be children who are making a significant contribution.
That's right.
Well, give thanks and praise. What I was going to go on to say was, as long as you promise not to leave us anytime too soon, we promise to commemorate you when you've gone.
I mention it because, none of us have any timeline.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we weren't expecting Baba Tony Martin to be gone. In fact, that was very sudden. As is always the case, Barashango, all of them.
I know.
Del Jones, young people,
but can I just ask you, Queen Mother Nzinga, what impact did it have on you when you heard of the passing of Baba Tony Martin?
To be honest, I was quite shocked because I hadn't been aware of him being having any major illness, and for me it was a loss. I mean, I think if you're prepared for something, if you know someone is unwell, then you kind of have an expectation.
Yes.
But something like that, so sudden, it really does strike you as a great loss to the community.
Yes, and it feels very close and very dear and very personal, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially, as you say, when you've known the person and have been to hear his presentations and aware of his great contribution.
Absolutely. I mean,
but so this is really the essence of it.
Yes.
Is that because we don't know when we may not be on the planet any longer, it's important to leave a legacy and a contribution which contributes to that ongoing march of our people.
Yes. I was going to say, Queen Mother, a lot of people are not aware, and you were saying quite rightly that Baba Tony Martin, if he was a self-serving, self-aggrandizing individual, he could have used his academic achievements to really advance his own personal interests. But of course, he didn't do that. A lot of people don't know that in addition to being a professor of history, he also studied law and was called to the bar in 1966. He was indeed a qualified barrister, and also attained a master's degree or BSc in economics. I think it was a master's degree in economics.
Yes.
At the London School of Economics.
At the London School of Economics.
Right. Well, our people are multi-talented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just to underscore that point that you made, Queen Mother Nzinga, that he was very, very successful, and he could have used his success to advance his own interests. Go ahead.
Absolutely, and there are many. We can see them, and they're usually the people that are promoted as great leaders for us by those who want to keep us dysfunctional and keep us disunited.
Yes.
They promote them, giving them big jobs in high places, and they're doing absolutely nothing to build on the legacy of great ancestors who have actually worked to make us self-aware, self-determined, and an independent people. So, yes, we have a lot to be grateful for the work that has been left by Baba Tony Martin and others like him, and we have a responsibility to acknowledge them. They're icons, and our children need to be aware of who they are and what their contribution has been. And I mean, I don't think there's anywhere in the world where people don't acknowledge their great leaders.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really a nonsense for anyone to think that shouldn't be done.
But it's only African people, misguided, misinformed, miseducated African people that you hear undermining the value of history. I don't hear any other people doing that.
Absolutely. You have to build on that history.
Tendamwari, Queen Mother.
Tendamwari.
Galaxy Radio, deep brainwashing station, 100% excellent. Excellent.
Tendamwari, brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only deep brainwashing station. We're engaging with Queen Mother Nzinga, who will be speaking at our normal, our monthly event on the 30th of January. Tendai Mwari, Brother Leader Bandaka.
Tendai Mwari, yes. Just one more question I wanted to ask Queen Mother Nzinga. And
yes.
I'm just happy to be speaking to you at this time, my beloved elder sister. We're talking about and we're honoring and commemorating the life and the legacy of Baba Tony Martin, Professor Tony Martin, and we're going to be extending that on Kuumba evening, Friday evening, the 30th of January at our Nomo. And just to let everybody know, the word Nomo is a Dogon word, which means it means the power of the word, the creative word that brought all things into existence. I'm hoping and praying that brothers and sisters will join us for this commemoration. And every year we're going to be honoring the life and the works of Baba Tony Martin, because we want to make sure that his name and his historical value to our people is preserved, so that generation after generation will know who Professor Tony Martin is.
Rightly.
Now, I just wanted to ask you, Queen Mother Nzinga, like myself, like the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement, we love Baba Tony Martin because of his contribution to preserving the legacy of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey. Now, I know that you're a consummate Garveyite, Queen Mother Nzinga. Can you just, I know we haven't got much time, but just succinctly tell us, why do you love Papa Garvey so much, and why is the legacy of Papa Garvey so important to us as African people? Tendai Mwari.
Well, as I've often heard you say, our great hero has left a black print for us, and also is, I would say, one of the most historic leaders of our people of all times. The work that Marcus Garvey and the UNIA put in place to advance our people's development, to give them employment, to make them, as one Sister Samad in Jamaica would say, have a backbone instead of a wishbone, and to stand up for their own rights. It's phenomenal. It has never been replicated in any organization since Marcus Garvey's UNI and ACL was formed.
Absolutely.
So, and the fact that we have access to the literature through people like Baba Tony Martin and Dr. John Henry Clark and others, we really should be giving thanks continually, because we can read that work, we can learn for ourselves what the black print is for our development. We don't have to go and reinvent the wheel, because the literature is already there in books like Race First and the message to African people, A Course in African Philosophy, again written by Baba Tony Martin, but the philosophy of the UNIA and ACL as cited by the great Marcus Garvey. So this is important. Not only that, we also have within the work of Professor Tony Martin the legacy of those great women who contributed. I remember in the Jamaica Journal, the centenary copy, he writes several articles about the number of women who had contributed to that great movement. So, we really have, as I say, the literature is there, the evidence is there. We live in a society that is always talking about evidence-based work. We don't need to reinvent wheels. the legacy is already there.
Absolutely. Queen Mother and Zinga, we got a couple of questions from our
We have a
texters.
text, yes, and it says, Tendai Mori, my brothers and sisters, do you think we should have a James Somerset, Otaba Kugoano, and Olaoda Equiana Day? We have great Africans in the UK that we honor, not just Americans. Sister Marcia.
Okay.
Did you want
That's
to respond to that?
excellent. I mean, that's excellent, and there's nothing to stop. We should have a day to celebrate anyone that we think has made a valid contribution. We should have a day to celebrate Professor Amos Wilson. You know, there are many people who have contributed great works to our people, so there is absolutely no reason why those people shouldn't be celebrated. But, and the people who are valuing that work, call us out. We'll come and help to support them if they've made a valid contribution and a valuable contribution to our people's development. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't add them to the historic people that are commemorated.
Definitely. We have another text, and it says, Amy Ashwood Garvey, Amy Jakes Garvey, Queen Nanny, Empress Menin I, we commemorate at all times.
Okay.
Absolutely, and so we should.
Queen Mother Nzinga, I don't know if you remember the days when the Pan-African Congress movement used to organize...
I do remember Heroes Day.
African Heroes Day.
Absolutely.
And these were powerful events.
Absolutely.
This was way back in the 80s.
A very long time ago.
Yes. Maybe we need to revive that.
Know, absolutely, because the truth is we do need to have days. I mean, we have a lot of celebrations. It's often because people are not aware that emancipation, there's still a number of big celebrations honoring our ancestors on those days.
Yes.
So they exist. It's just that, oftentimes because there isn't a central place where people can find the information, many people are not aware of it, especially those that are not active in the community.
Yes.
Okay, Tenamari. Sister Kai, do we have a caller on the line?
Yes, we have Brother Mark. Go ahead, Brother Mark. How do you want to join us?
Brother Bob.
Brother Bob. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Tenamari. Blessed brother.
Tenamari. Yeah. Good evening to the panel, Bandaka. I must get that name properly. Is it Bandaka? Is it B?
MB, my brother. Soft M, strong B.
All right. I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Okay.
And Queen Mother.
Nzinga.
Zinga.
Nzinga.
Zinga. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Respect and greetings to you, Queen Mother.
Yeah. Right, Queen Mother can't hear you at the moment. We're just passing on.
So what would like to I would like to congratulate the lady, the mother, for her eloquency, or strong voice, and obviously our knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question I would like to ask regarding Tony Martin. Yeah, he's written a few books, many important books. So I don't want to seem impertinent, but the money that were garnered from these books, are they still extant? Are they still extant? Or is the money still around?
Just repeat that.
The money that was garnered from this book, the money that came from the person of these books.
The money
the money, yes.
All right.
I don't want to be impertinent. I'm not trying to
Okay.
But I would just like to know if the money has been put to good use.
Well, Tendai Mwari. Yes, my brother, as far as I know, Baba Tony Martin was retired, and he had a family. And so, like anybody else, he left his estate to his family. He has a son who will need to be properly raised and educated, and we have had contact with his wife.
Okay, Leader Bandaka. I hear that.
Yeah.
Could I just add? Could I just quickly add, my brother, that he also ran a business called Majority Press, in which he actually produced and published these works.
Yes.
So it was a
self-publishing
entity.
The salient point I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to put forward there, or make a kind of advice as such, is that what about a Tony Martin house?
Okay.
Somewhere in England, in England, it could be London, but somewhere in England.
Okay.
Very much worth thinking about, my brother. I wonder what Queen Mother Nzinga might think of that idea.
Yes.
Tendamari, thank you, Brother Bob.
Yeah.
Tendamari, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Tendamari, we're engaging with Queen Mother Nzinga, who will be speaking. Tendamari, Queen Mother Nzinga.
I heard not a word of that.
Well, first of all, our brother Bob, he was praiseworthy of you for your eloquence and your strong knowledge.
Give him thanks.
And he was putting forward the idea of something like a Tony Martin house, somewhere we would enshrine the works of the great Tony Martin. What's your view on that?
Sorry, I didn't catch the bit about the Tony Martin
house. So
house.
I guess like a mini museum in which his work is enshrined for people to see the great work he did, etc., speeches, etc.
Well, anything is possible, but as a people, we struggle to maintain anything. So, as my father would say, "Mount make for say anything." So, it's money that talks. It's money that talks. So, money is needed to create facilities where we can have our icons enshrined in picture form, have their legacy on the walls, have their books in places where we can access them. So yes, everything is possible if we're willing to put the effort in.
Okay.
Indeed.
Tendamari.
Queen Mother Nzinga, we're coming to the close of our program now. We want to thank you very much, and we got a little bit of interference there. I hope you can still hear me, Queen Mother.
I can hear you. We look forward to seeing everyone on the 30th at the normal session.
Thank you very much, Queen Mother. Tendamari.
Tendamari. Have a good evening. Good night.
Tendamari. Yes, brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station.
We have a text here and it says, "Greeting Galaxy host. Yeah, it was a racist attack on black people. Remember Maggie Thatcher was Prime Minister. She didn't even offer her condolence to the victim's relative."
Okay, Tendamari, a point you touched on earlier on, Brother Leader. Tendamari, Brother Leader Bandaka.
Tendamari.
Right. You have some closing comments, my brother?
Yes, Tendamari. I do want to remind brothers and sisters who would remember some of the dynamics around the 1981 New Cross massacre that that at the time the MP Dame Jill Knight, who had made some inappropriate comments, almost justifying the attack, justifying what she called direct action against noisy parties, that resulted in a slogan that was repeated in demonstrations. Dame Jill Knight set the fire alight. People were saying that she was the person, whether directly or indirectly, insofar as she represented the state and had made this public statement justifying direct action against noisy parties. These people speak in codes. So I'm just throwing that into the mix as well, brothers and sisters. So I'm saying very clearly that if the evidence had existed remotely suggesting that this was internally, the fire was internally caused as a result of a jealous act between whatever, that evidence would have been found by the police. It would have been
illuminated.
It would have been yes, propagated and illuminated and whatever else have you, because then they wouldn't have to make up a story. They wouldn't have to invent something to try and divert the public from the suspicion that this was a racist fire attack. Tendai Mwari. But let me just very quickly, a sister had called in, I put a note here, that a sister had called in to ask about the International African Association.
Yes, indeed.
And then just want to say that was an association, a kind of smoke screen association that was set up by King Leopold himself. And it was a sort of philanthropic. Yeah, this was supposed to be a philanthropic organization,
charity,
which was really a smoke screen, because he was trying to fool the world that he was doing all this charity work, all this good work in the Central Africa. Remember, there was no country in Africa called the Congo. There was a Congo kingdom, but there was no country in Africa called the Congo. And so, but just to correct something that the sister had said, what's his name, Leopold got hold of the Congo as his quote-unquote personal possession was as a result of the what do you call it now, 1884-85 Berlin Conference, the 1884-85 Berlin Conference, which was originally called the Congo Conference because of the conflict in Europe over the Congo. They were all scrambling for the Congo, and that was resolved at the 1884-85 Berlin Conference with the support of the British monarch, Queen Victoria, who was a cousin of King Leopold II, or whatever it was, King Leopold II. And so that was supported by Queen Elizabeth and the American government. And so that was given to King Leopold as his personal possession. But the International African Association had nothing at all to do with African people. It was King Leopold's smokescreen organization to fool the world that he was doing charity work, humanitarian work in the central part of Africa.
Some would argue that it's very much in keeping with the charitable work now the so-called charitable work that's taking place in Mama Africa.
Well, absolutely. So I close, brothers and sisters, by expressing my hope that we will see brothers and sisters in your numbers coming out to join us on the 30th Kuumba evening, the 30th of January.
It's Friday evening.
Friday, the 30th of January. I'm so used to using the English Sabbath.
You're right.
At Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. And brothers and sisters, for further information, call us on 07908. You go ahead, bro.
814152. That's 07908-814-152 or 0208-539-2154. There is another number you can call as well, 07939-292-720. You can also call that number if you can't get any of the other two.
It's been a long day, brothers and sisters. I'm very tired. So I'm also asking brothers and sisters again to put in your diaries the 22nd of February, where we will be honoring
our annual
Omowale Malcolm X Observance Day. The main message will be countering the destruction of black manhood. Brothers and sisters, we really need to deal with that. So put that in your diary. Umoja Day, Sunday, the 22nd of February. And we're also having our X Storm
on the 29th,
which is our evening of edutainment, mainly for our young people, but it really is an event for the whole family. But it will be pitched for the
hosted by our young
edutainment of our young people, hosted by the young people of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement, otherwise known as the Army, the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement Youth. So I close, brothers and sisters, in the words of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey, as I always do: unite, organize now, or perish Rise, you mighty African people, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rumbidzo kunamwari Africa. To the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, brother leader, giving thanks and praises. I know Sister Kai's got a couple of texts there.
Yes, and I have a brother. I can't put brother on the air now, but he said he's correcting you. You said brother. You said Queen Elizabeth. And
he did. He said Queen Victoria.
Yes, I said Queen Elizabeth, but I think I corrected myself.
Yeah,
I think
he think he corrected himself.
He said
but
Queen
thank
Victoria
you anyway.
first, and then he said Queen Elizabeth at the end.
Oh, okay.
No
but
problem.
it definitely was Queen
Thank
Victoria.
you for your,
Queen Victoria. Thank you very much, my brother. Yeah, 1884-85, Queen Victoria.
Victoria.
All right.
Queen Victoria, Queen of England,
Give thanks.
1837 to 1901.
Okay.
So you are correct, my brother. It's Queen Victoria. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Yes, I have a text here. Let me get this one up again. It says, thank you for a top 10 program. It amazes me how similar the history of Congo and Patrice Lumumba is to the history of Angola and Agostinho Neto, to the people who say, forget the past and move on. I say this, you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you are going. Give thanks, Ras Gabriel. P.S. Please remember Queen Nzinga Matambo of Angola. Love.
Mm-hmm.
And you know she's one of my favorites.
Tendai Mwari. I think we have to have this Africa Heroes Day event, you know. It used to be in the month of Mosiah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, and it was around the legacy of the most eminent prophet and king, but it also included honoring a range of heroes.
And sheroes.
Heroes and sheroes. And that's how I got the opportunity to do that paper.
Mm-hmm.
On Papa Patrice Lumumba in 1984, 84-85, by the Pan-African Congress movement. And that's how I got my name Mbandaka, because Mbandaka is a place in the Congo. And after studying the life and legacy of Papa Patrice Lumumba, I was so moved. I was moved to tears to know how brutally he was treated, he was tortured, he was assassinated. But what made me so moved to tears was the love the man had for us and the commitment. When I read that letter that he wrote to his wife, it just broke me. And I just had that ever since.
Mama Pauline who
passed recently. And ever since, I've had this close affinity with the spirit of Papa Patrice Lumumba and the Congo. And so I had to take a name, and Mbandaka is my family name, to relocate my spirit and the spirit of all who come, all my descendants, in the center of the African continent, and embracing the spirit, the liberation spirit of Papa Patrice Lumumba. Tendai Mwari.
I haven't finished the text.
Sorry. Tendai Mwari.
It says, Ras Gabriel here tonight, second, celebrate my Queen Nzinga. Oh, sorry, because
while you're getting that text, Sister Kai, apologies, brothers and sisters. The numbers again, 0208. This is for our normal taking place on Friday the 30th. Queen Mother Nzinga will be speaking. 0208 539 2154 or 07908 814 152 or 07939 292-720. Apologies about that, brothers and sisters. Hope you got those numbers. Tendai Mwari. Sister Kai, have you got that? The rest
yes,
of is it Ras Gabriel?
Gabriel, yeah. It says here,
Gabriel.
Celebrate my Queen Nzinga Matambo of Angola. She fought the Portuguese army that arrested her brother King Angola. She took the army and went forward. Acts, give thanks.
Yes.
This text came in last week. And I do apologize because I was supposed to read it out. And it says, Tendai Mwari. Powers of Ascension to the Spirit of Phil Africa, Minister of Defense for the MOVE organization. He passed away on the 10th of January, still behind bars as a result of the U.S. state onslaught against the Black Liberation Movement. Killing the 11 members of MOVE and burning them alive in 1985 was not enough. To this day, many of our freedom fighters remain behind bars at the mercy and of the oppressor. While we may forget them, the enemy does not. Let's remember Phil Africa of MOVE, John Africa, and all those who have sacrificed for our freedom.
Tendai Mwari, and that was 11 members of the Mu family who were massacred, who were killed on the 13th of May in 1985, brothers and sisters, as a result of an attack from the state on the compound in which they lived, and they killed men, women, and babies. Children and babies were killed in that firebomb attack. And when people were trying to run out of the set, after they bombed the place and people were trying to escape, the police were shooting at the exits. So they pinned the people into the buildings so that they would burn to death in the buildings. It was a vicious, evil, fiendish attack on African humanity on the 13th of May in 1985. So this year, in May, will mark the 30th anniversary. Have I got my sums right? The 30th anniversary of that awful event. And just to let brothers and sisters know that July the 2nd of this year will be the 90th birthday of the man we honored in the show today, Papa Patrice Lumumba. He was born on the 2nd of July in the year 1925. So his 90th birthday will be on the 2nd of July in this year, brothers and sisters. I'm sure we'll be honoring him in a special way. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. We have, I'd like to advertise on behalf of the African Credit Union. The African Credit Union, we interviewed them 2 weeks ago. We were looking at it was probably 3 weeks ago, I'm thinking. We're looking at the concept of Ujama, cooperative economics, during Kwanzaa. And they did say that they would be putting on some events and of different parts of London. Yeah,
they're having a number of launch events that are taking place. You're quite right, Sister Kai.
The roadshow venues, one is on Thursday, the 5th of February, from 7 to 9 p.m. The venue is Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. That is the 5th of February. Hold on, did I get that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, Thursday, the 5th of February. And the second venue is Thursday, the 5th of March, and that is 7 to 9 p.m. The venue is Ankh Wellbeing Centre, 10 Adelaide Grove, Shepherd's Bush, W12 OJJ. I do apologize, I can't give you a little bit more information at the moment. We had some problem trying to pull up this information on the internet so we could give you the opportunity, but looks like we may...
Yes, we're working feverishly to try and get that information to you.
Because I know that so many people were impressed with the African Credit Union and what they're trying to do in terms of harnessing
Cooperative Union.
Yes. Oh, sorry, the African Cooperative Union, sorry. Mm-hmm. Harnessing our economic strength and our wealth. And many people are texting to say how can they hear about more, how can they get involved. Well, they do have a road show. The date again is the 5th of February. That's a Thursday, 7 to 9 at the Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton. And you can, on the 5th of March, 7 to 9 p.m., again, this will be at the Ankh Wellbeing Centre, 10 Adelaide Road, Shepherd's Bush, W12, Tendai Mwari. Just to give you a little bit about what it's about, the African Credit Union have a fully functioning executive committee and membership, the ACU. Hold on a moment, please. Whoops, I'm just going to give you a bit more information about the roadshow. We're embarking on a roadshow with a view of promoting the concept of investing in self and community through the ACU. To that end, we have a fully functional executive committee and membership. We consider a community centre building, a credit union, bank, and a community shop. Through debate and consensus, we decide that a community shop may be the most practical idea given our current resources and level of cohesiveness as a community. We have now completed a draft business plan, and we seek to launch in April-May 2015 through the issue of community shares by producing a prospectus spelling out the benefits of the community and the return of investment. The roadshow will be both a vehicle to recruit for members and investors. Now, for the first time, our members have a tangible concept to sink their teeth into. This will also be reflected in the parallel drive of buying black to ensure the pound circulates several times in the community before it exits. This pound circulation will create jobs and business opportunities and improve services provision as we better ourselves. It said the community shop will be both online and offline, and I gave the dates already. I won't repeat them again, but just to say, if you want to get directly in contact with the organization, you can contact them on 07990 665 761.
Do it a bit slower. Do it a bit slower, sister guy.
Just read that number again. 07990 665 761.
Tendai, brothers and sisters. Right, you were in tune to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. This has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio. Giving thanks and praises to Mwari Nyakusika, God the creator of the universe, for the spirits of Mzumukuru, our great ancestors. We give thanks to our special guests this evening, Queen Mother in Zinga, Asata, Brother Luwezi Kinshasa, spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement, Brother Leader Mbandaka. We want to give thanks and praises to Galaxy Radio and particularly the management of Galaxy Radio for one, making this radio station possible, and two, our interaction on this station. Thanks to our producer, Brother Olatunji Heru, for his sterling work. Thanks to you, brothers and sisters, who called in, texted in, and all the different ways you engage with us. Also, our silent listeners, we give thanks to you also. This has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. Join us next week between 8 and 10, or maybe slightly later than 10, where we talk it straight and make it plain.